Hey, welcome to the. Oh, I almost did Hosel Jockeys again. Wow. Okay, let me start that again. Hey, welcome to the Bag Chatter podcast. I am Brian, joined by my co-host, a man who is joined by his slightly less handsome brother, Grant. How you doing today?
Brian, I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Speaking of brothers, Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for accurately describing the looks of my brother. I didn't think that's how we'd lead off, but it's good. It's good to know. It's good to start on the right footing.
So you're fully agreeing that he's slightly more handsome than you?
Oh, is that what you said? I thought it was the reverse. I thought you were saying that he was slightly less handsome than me. Did I miss it?
Yeah, that was. I kind of set that joke up as if I was going to throw it to you, but then I threw it to Grant.
Oh man, that hurts a little bit. I get
Yeah.
it now. I get it because you went to Grant. I get it.
Yes.
Okay.
Also slightly less intelligent. Apparently.
Yep. Yep. A little slower on the uptake over here.
This is a special episode, and we are joined by our special guest because y'all played some golf together last week, and I know so few details about the golf that you played that I am super excited to hear them. Grant, you're not still in PA, right?
No, I'm not. I am back in Florida now.
Okay.
Yep.
Back
Flew
in
back.
Florida.
Flew back yesterday after our member guest weekend. It was a good. You were here for a week, and so it was a good time. Period, regardless of the golf. But the golf was the only thing worth telling a story about.
Yeah, I unfortunately was not around, as we've documented on the show. I was up with my family in Massachusetts. Shout out to Grams for actually, she hasn't reached 90 yet. She will next month. So shout out
I'm
to
sorry.
her.
What? I'm sorry. What? You missed the member guest for a 90th birthday party for your grandma, and she's not 90 yet. What?
No, it's
Wow, you just dropped that in there. You thought you could just slip that past that it wasn't even your grandma's birthday and you missed the member guest for it. Wow.
I mean, if you have issues and want to take umbrage with that, I can give you my mom's email address. You can write her and let her know you don't appreciate pulling me
Yeah.
away.
She could have at least asked you for some dates that would work for you, you know? That would have been great.
No, I had a good time. My grandmother's awesome, but I really, really wished I could have played in the event. I didn't even get a chance to tee up with you guys at all. You did, before we get to the actual event, you guys played a round or two, had some practice sessions going in. I know, Grant, to set the stage, you're like you're 27 handicap, right? Never broken 100 before. Play
Yep.
occasionally on some tougher, water-filled Florida courses. Can hit the ball very long, but love making an absolute mess of a hole whenever possible. Does that sort of describe your game?
Yeah, I mean, it hurts to hear, being that brutally honest, but it's brutally accurate. So.
Yeah. Adam, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, he hits the ball as far as I do when he hits it. But that's an if, you know. It's an if. It doesn't always happen. So we played a practice round Tuesday, and he shot 105,
Okay.
and he lost probably 30 shots off the tee. I would say. Is that
I don't
is
think
that
that's an exaggeration.
Wow.
think
so
that's-
not 30 balls. He didn't lose 30 balls, but shots. Like, you know, his strokes gained driving the ball was negative 30, I would say.
Wow. And that's on 18 holes.
That's on 18 holes. Almost to a hole. There were definitely some holes where, so he shot 105 with a couple tens where we're like, we're just going to mark down a 10 here because he's out of bounds 3 times. We're not teeing off 7 here.
And Grant, that's sort of, pardon the pun, but that's sort of par for the course for you? That's kind of what happens off the tee a lot?
Yeah, for the most part, I get too stubborn, don't want to put away the driver, you know how it is, and it feels so good to hit it long when I do hit it that I'm like, let me try driver again. It's got to work eventually, right? And it just so rarely does.
Yeah. So you had the practice round. You shot the 105. Also, did you get over to the AutoZone where Adam works and hit some balls on the simulator at all?
I do.
Yeah.
Before you answer that, I feel like we need to clarify that I don't work at an AutoZone.
I want the listeners to think that you do work at AutoZone, but they have a golf simulator at the AutoZone.
I work at a place called Golf Zone, and Brian once texted me, "Are you at the AutoZone?" And then started texting me gifs of "Get in the Zone AutoZone" whenever I was there. And then he starts referring to it as AutoZone on the podcast, and I'm like, everyone thinks I sell car parts at AutoZone.
Yeah, I kind of like it that way.
That's the dumbest joke I've ever heard, but I love it at the same time.
Please adopt it. Please adopt it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I got there last Monday, got into Pennsylvania Monday. Adam was working at AutoZone Tuesday, Wednesday, and I just went with him just to hang out and was just beating balls at the range and in the simulator the entire shift. So,
Yeah.
Just hours of beating balls.
And did you feel like, did you find anything? Did it feel like that helped you at all other than just getting a bunch of reps in?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say the reps overall were the biggest benefit, but Adam was working with me on the simulator with, a couple swing things that, he'd always been able to see in my swing, but never really had the chance to correct.
Right.
So being able to actually be with me and work with me, just a couple little things to think about that were definitely helping a ton.
And it's probably because typically when he's playing golf with you, he's really reveling in you shooting high scores. I know sometimes while you're trying to hit a ball, he's throwing balls at you and other objects.
Yep.
He's berating you. He's belittling you, all these things. But now, because you guys are going to be a team, he had to put that aside, his natural kind of what he wants to do, and he had to try to be a little selfless and help you. Does that sort of describe what's happening there, Adam?
No, none of that's accurate. Belittling, that is such a loaded word. I'm gonna say I've played an Earl Woods role in Grant's life from a young age. Okay, that's the role I played. Grant's a phenomenal baseball player. You know who taught him to play baseball? It was me. And you know how I did that? I whipped wiffle balls at him at 90 miles an hour from 15 feet away until he could hit them. And is that belittling? Is that berating? No, that's just good training right there. It's again, Earl Woodsian is all it is.
And Adam, being such a student of the golf swing, talk about some of the flaws you saw in Grant's swing and how you addressed them.
Okay, that's not. I didn't like that.
I know it feels like I'm poking
that.
fun at you. Listen, you're a great golfer. You admittedly you love to say that you don't know a lot about the golf swing, and you feel like that maybe helps you at times. So, yeah.
No, I don't get super technical, as we've talked about a lot. But in terms of just like things where he comes across the ball pretty aggressively, he kind of casts it and gets himself out of position at the top and makes it impossible for himself to get into the right position at the bottom. So working through those types of things where they're small things in a way, but then they're also huge. They're fundamental as well. Those types of things, I am capable of teaching those types of things, Brian. Jeez, unbelievable. I didn't come here to be disrespected by you two. Unbelievable.
Well, this is how it works. Whenever it's a 3-man pod, 2 people have to gang up on the one person. So
that's right. Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
The 105, was that earlier in the week or was that the day before practice round?
That was early in the week.
That was Tuesday.
How did the practice round go on Thursday?
So we had a better ball of partners, like little match in the Thursday practice round. We played well. I shot 70 on Thursday, so that felt good. So, from the white tees, but I don't care. It's a 70. It felt good. Grant, how did you play?
I shot a even 100, which was probably like the 6th or 7th time I've shot 100 on the dot.
Wow.
While still not getting under 100. And most of the other times were with Adam, so this was a recurring situation for me. But it was better than the 105, so I wasn't too upset about it. I felt like I played better, and I did. So I was figuring things out.
We finished one shot off the leaders in the better ball tournament for what that's
Okay.
worth.
Okay. Did they open up hole number 4 for the member guest practice round?
They did not for the practice round,
Okay.
but they did for the member guest, and wow, that was exciting. It was exciting to play hole 4 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my favorite hole on the course. It's the only hole I've probably played, under par as an average for the hole in my career at Honeybrook. So I missed it. It, and I played it under par this week as well. I'll tell you that right now. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Played par. I played that hole at 2 under for the week.
Okay. That's a good tease. So we get to Friday. So this is a 2-day tournament, Friday and Saturday, right? You're playing 3 nines on Friday and 2 on Saturday. Is that right?
That is correct. And it
All
was. We wake up on Friday, and it's pouring, Brian. It's not good. But they've told us if there's no lightning, we are playing this event.
Okay.
So we get out there. We tell each other the whole way. We're telling each other that we're mutters. We don't know if we're mutters, but we're gonna say it until we speak it into existence.
Yep.
So we were hoping to prove ourselves as mutters.
And there were 5 flights, is that right? Or
5
6?
flights of
Okay.
5 people, or 5 teams each. So it was supposed to be 6 teams each, but there were some dropouts and all of that, and so you had to play. You had to play par. You had to play against par 1 match. Everybody. Wow, I had a stroke in the middle of that sentence.
Huckleberry.
So it was actually 5 flights of 5 teams. It was supposed to be 30 teams, but a few dropouts and all that. And so every team had to play par 1 time. So you were playing against par rather than against another team.
Yep. And which flight did you guys slot into?
We were in flight 5. We were
okay.
in the very last flight. Very weirdly, by the way, we were in the Harry Hammond flight. And so it's a whole thing where it was like a trivia thing to figure out like what even these flights were named after.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it was Harry Hammond. So it's just called the Hammond flight, but it's for Harry Hammond. It was revealed later, who is like the owner and head professional at AutoZone. Which is
What? That's not true. That's not true.
It is. So it's like they all the flights had names and they all had something in common. They're all in the Golf Association of Philadelphia Hall of Fame. They'd all played Honeybrook. Okay. They'd all done these different things, and so I didn't put it together. Hammond turned out to be Harry Hammond, who's like my boss. So we were in my boss's flight.
Now I'm confused. I don't know if you're going with the AutoZone joke or if Harry Hammond owns the Golf Zone. I don't know, and I don't want.
He owns the Golf Zone, also known as the AutoZone.
Oh, so when you said he owned AutoZone, I thought you meant the actual AutoZone. That's why I was so confused.
This is your fault. This is your fault. This joke is your fault.
Okay, so tee it up. I'm assuming we're playing the front 9 for our first 9-hole match.
Yep.
How are you feeling going in, and how does the match start? Take me through this first 9.
Boy, I wish we had those cards, Grant.
I was wishing too. Yeah.
So our first match was against Mark Milichip and John Kim.
Okay.
JK all day.
JK all day, as Grant called him all week.
Yeah.
And so they very nice guys. I'm trying to think of what happened in this match.
Highlights, lowlights.
So, very nice guys. It was a fun start to the week for sure. We played well in that match. What do you remember about it, Grant?
It was kind of not boring, but it was kind of just like we just kind of did our thing. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it was like wasn't super eventful. I don't remember any like super memorable shots from the round, but we kind of just went out there and we played well.
And so each hole is worth a point, correct? And then
Yes.
if you win the match, you get an additional bonus point. So 10 points is the highest score you can have.
Yep. And so I do remember for sure that we went out, and the first hole, we just won the first hole, like, fairly casually, and we looked at each other and we were like, there could be something here. There could be something. It's hard to win points. It feels like it's going to be hard to win points, and then you just have one. You have 1 point through one hole, and you're like, all right. And so we went through that match, and like Grant said, I don't actually remember many distinctive shots from that round. We don't have the scorecards in front of us, but we won the match 6.5 to 3.5. Yeah,
okay.
6.5 to 3.5. So that's nothing overwhelming, but I think we only lost like one hole. The rest were ties or wins, and so we just felt like it gave us some momentum for sure. We definitely felt like we were off to a good start.
Yeah. Any natural birdies in that first 9 that you remember? Did you birdie number 4 that first time?
I did. I drained like a 30-foot birdie putt on 4.
Wow.
And Grant told me how handsome I was repeatedly after that. He said, "You are so handsome right now. You are so handsome."
Wow.
And
he was.
You think I'm joking? That's what he said to me. So, you might have to re-record the intro. I don't know.
Listen, every pair of brothers, they have their own way of communicating, so no judgment here. If he finds you ugly but calls you handsome just because you make birdie putts, I'm not going to judge it.
Okay.
I mean, let me tell you, when that 30-footer fell in the bottom of the cup, he was looking good.
Grant, out of those 9 holes, I know that's a handful of matches ago. Might be hard to totally remember specific shots, but do you remember any holes where you felt like, oh, wow, I'm playing a little above my head right now, or any holes that you made a complete mess of and you're like, okay, there's the 27 handicap coming out?
I do remember having a couple holes where I made a mess of them. They were towards the later end of the round, I believe. Don't remember exactly which ones, but I do remember Adam saying, like, well, no big deal, I got you on this one. But I do remember the first hole was a good one for me because, I wasn't too nervous or, like, anything, but it was, like, it's a tournament day. I was excited for it. I'd been looking forward to this for a while. And my first tee shot on the first hole, I was hitting... I think I hit driver on that hole. I think it was one of the 2 times all tournament that I hit driver, which we'll get to later, but I hit it way right, but I had a fairway right to protect me. Mm-hmm. And then I was able to knock it onto the green from there and 2-putt for par. So I got in for like a 4 for 3, and I was like, ooh, that felt good, and suddenly any nerves I had were gone, and I was feeling good. That was a good way to start the tournament.
Yeah. Were you coming in with that handicap, being in the 5th flight? I'm sure it was a mix. You guys were like super low, super high. I'm sure you had a bunch of like people who were both mid handicaps. Were you stroking on most holes throughout the tournament?
I was, yeah. I was stroking on every hole.
Yeah, every hole.
Grant was getting 1 shot per hole, and then usually 2 strokes on 1 hole per match.
Per 9.
Yeah.
Per 9.
Okay, so first match, we would get 6.5 points. Second match, we go to the back 9 at Honeybrook. And how many points? How many points out of 10? Let me know, and then tell me about the 9.
You want to know up front? To know up front? Grant, you want to do the love reveal de Magnifico?
Sure.
Just edit that out. Just edit that out.
Uncle Barry.
Yes.
Yeah, second match was, I'm just going to tell it how it is. It was pure slammage. It was 8-2.
8-2.
And 8-2, we came out rolling. We carried some momentum off that solid first match, that 6.5, 3.5. And we really carried that into the next one.
Wow.
Yeah. It was probably the most fun match we had. We were paired with Kendrick. I don't know if you know Kendrick from... He's a younger guy. Mm-hmm. So very, very fun. He told us up front when we were like on the tee box, he's like, I don't know if you're aware of the amount of fun you're about to have in this match. And then he kind of backed it up, honestly.
Wow.
He kind of was just a good hang the entire time, even as we were steamrolling them.
Yeah.
We went 5 up through 5 in that match.
Wow.
And so Grant made a 4 for 2 at one point. So he made a 4 for 2 on, I forget what hole that
11
was.
maybe?
On 11, I think it was on 11.
11 usually is a higher handicap hole.
You know what?
for
That
the-
was a different day.
It was
that
on
was a different.
16.
Oh, gotcha.
No, it was on
6
16. I made a 4 for 2.
16?
No, you didn't get 2 on 16. That doesn't make sense. Whatever
Yeah,
it
I
was,
guess would.
I had a real birdie on 16.
So it would have been 3 for 2.
you got a 3 for 2. Yeah.
3 for
Okay.
2, sorry.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's start. What was I transitioning out of?
My 4 for 2, Adam, was on a
different
practice
day.
round. I didn't have that in
Gotcha.
the tournament.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
you win the first 5 holes. You've been told you're going to have a lot of fun. And even though you're steamrolling, you did have a lot of fun. Old Brian would have loved this guy. Old Brian loves somebody
Oh,
who's
yeah.
out there just being a good hang.
Oh yeah, that old Brian would love him. New Brian, not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah, I mean, Grant played great that whole match, and even when we finally halved a hole, not to throw you under the bus, but Grant 3-putted from like 15 feet. Or we would have gone 6 up through 6. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Honestly,
It was a little more than 15 feet. You know, it was a 3-putt nonetheless, but I think it was closer to like the 25-foot range.
that's fine. I'm not upset
know.
about it.
I'm just-
I'm not upset about it. I'll tell you that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
upset.
This is maybe even more for me than for the listeners, but if you can think back to that first time on the back nine there on day 1, I'm curious about Amish Corner, how you guys, specifically how you played, both of you played 14, 15, 16. I think you said, Grant, you just made a 3 for 2, but how did you play 14 and 15? Were you guys in play off the tee? How aggressive were you? Do you remember?
I was not. I'll tell you that right off the bat. 14,
Well, no. Hold on one second. That's the one time you pulled. That's the second. That was the second of the 2 times you pulled driver. Was that round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we played. You know, we had 45 holes across 2 days, Friday, Saturday, and I hit driver on 2 of them.
Okay.
And
It was the first
both
hole and the
times-
14th hole?
Yeah, and both times were very far right. First time I had a fairway to protect me. Second time I did not.
No, you don't. You've got a creek there. Did your ball land in the creek?
It went over the creek, but into woods. I think. Like I was past.
I
the
believe
creek.
it landed on. I believe it actually landed on the 5th green, which is impossible.
Wow.
It's almost impossible to get it over there, but it landed all the way over on the 5th green, and I'm like, that's amazing.
If we would have had cameras set up, we could have billed that as one of the best trick shots that we've ever put on the Bag Chatter Golf channel.
No, truly, it's hard to miss that far right. And so I told them on that tee box, I said, we're not pulling that driver again for the rest of the rest of
And
the
I
week.
was okay with that.
Yeah.
But then you hit a good one on 15, because I believe you made. That's where you 3-putted on 15. You played the hole great, and then 3-putted on 15.
Okay.
Then made a 3 for 2 on 16. So Grant had one wayward drive that helped us, because it confirmed this driver needs to be in the bag. And then played
Who
the rest of
knows how
Amish Corner great.
This weekend would have gone if I hit a great drive there. You know,
Yeah.
because then I would have kept hitting it.
So when you put the driver away, did you pull hybrid then? Is that what you were hitting
Yeah.
on most tee boxes?
Yeah,
And
hybrid off almost every tee for me.
and Adam, what about you? That first round on 14 and 15, were you hitting driver or 3-wood?
I hit driver both times there, and hit 2 good ones.
Okay.
Which is good.
So after 2 rounds, we got a 6.5 and an 8, 14.5 points. I'm sure you're handing your scorecard in, you're taking a peek at the leaderboard before you go out for that final 9. Got to be feeling pretty good about where things are.
Yeah, going into the final match of the day, we had a 2-point lead in our flight, and we were playing the team that was closest behind us.
Okay.
So we're thinking we can put this thing away, is what we're thinking. That's where our brains are going.
Okay. And how many points did you win in that third match?
Not enough to put it away.
Okay.
We lost that match 6-4. Actually. So we went into the second day in an exact tie for the lead, 18.5 points each. I'll tell you what, we felt really good about 6-4 at the end of that match,
Really?
because we lost the first 3 holes of that match. So
Wow.
we were it was for 3, right, Grant? Sorry. Yeah, so we lost the first 3 holes of that match. So we were down 3-0 immediately. We'd taken a 2-point lead and fallen into a 1-point deficit immediately. And then they were playing out of their minds. They were a couple of 15 handicaps. And they, I mean, I'm telling you, they played out of their minds, and then they did start to come back to earth a little bit. So they had like a 15 handicap who parred the first 3 holes. So he had 4 for 3, 4 for 3, 4 for 3, 3 for 2, and we were just immediately down before we even knew what happened. And so we battled it back, got it back to 3-2, won the next 2 holes. Then this annoyed me. I'm not going to lie. It was the only time I was annoyed with somebody all week. Grant had a short putt, and it was to tie the hole. We couldn't have won the hole, but it was already a short putt, like a very, you might give this putt to somebody.
Okay.
And it was to tie the hole, and the guy just goes, "All right, Grant, just knock that putt in. We already know you're going to make it." And then he kind of winks at his partner, and he thought he was playing head games with Grant. So this is what was going on. And so then Grant does proceed. The only short putt Grant missed all week, misses a short putt to lose the hole. So we lost the next hole we lost. And as the putt slides by, they look at each other and they fist bump each other.
What?
And I did not like that. And then it's like he thinks I'm blind and I'm not seeing what's happening. And then he pats me on the back and says, "I would have bet my mortgage that Grant was going to make that putt." And I was so annoyed. I was steaming. We're driving up the hill to 8, and I am steaming, Brian. I'm saying to Grant, I was. There were choice words, Brian. I don't know.
Okay.
They weren't that choice. But
I mean, this is going on public record. You're okay with this guy hearing this, and
I guess I didn't use any names. I didn't use any names.
That's fine. I mean, I don't know that I would have appreciated that either. You know, some people might be like, "Oh no, sounds like good gamesmanship to me," and maybe it is. But
it was
it
was within the gamesmanship thing, but it just turned something on in us a little bit. I will fully admit.
Sure.
It was just something that we were frustrated. And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what put it over the line was the whole, I would have bet my house that Grant was going to make that putt after the fact. It was like, hey, what do you want me to say? Like, yeah,
Right.
me too.
Right,
I'm
that's
sure.
like that's actually
if you
like
want to say a little.
yeah, it's kind of
Sorry.
mocking you almost.
And then,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
but then sweet justice, we get to the top of the hill on 8, and they realize that they miscounted their shots, and we actually won the hole.
What?
So we were so annoyed at this thing. It's the only time we got annoyed all week. And then we get to the top of the hill. He's like, "Hey guys, you actually won the hole. We miscounted something."
A 2-shot swing?
It was that like one person was getting a half a shot, they didn't realize it, and they miscounted.
Wow.
And so it swung the entire hole, and it was crazy. It was like, what an emotional swing. We go from this short missed putt and being annoyed with something to them having to come to us and be like, "Yeah, you actually won the hole."
Wow. Grant, you at this point you are in holes, 19 through 27 of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like your game is fading a little bit? Are you getting stronger? How you feel on that last 9?
I felt physically, I did not feel like I was fading really at all. I was excited. This was the first time I ever played more than 18 holes in a day. But I think I was very excited for it, and by the time we got there, I was like, I could have played a whole another 18 and not really have been phased. I was like, this is just fun. Like, I'm so genuinely like, this is so fun to just be here doing this. Like, this is such a cool event that later in that, like you said, whatever holes we were going on for the day, I was feeling great.
Yeah.
I was having a good time. I didn't want to be losing the match, but I was feeling good.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the voice of a 21-year-old who could probably play 54 holes in a day and would have tons of energy left.
We finished that round in, I'm not as the sun was setting. The sun was set. The sun. We teed off 18, and we made an agreement that if we didn't find any of the balls, we were going to call it quits. But it was fully dark. We had our flashlights out. We hit the balls, cannot see anything. We get out there, somehow find all 4 balls, which is just wild.
To be fair, the tee shots, my eyes were like a hawk on the first one. I had general directions for all of them. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of incredible. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever done in my life, was see these golf shots. So I found the tee shots.
That's
and
true.
Then, I just wanted to make that clear. Keep
Gotcha.
going.
And this is on the 9th hole. Are you the last group
Yeah.
of the whole tournament
Yes.
that day? Yeah.
It was and Chris had told us, Chris is organizing the tournament, had told us, obviously if you can't finish, we'll make it work, but we'd love you to finish tonight, kind of thing. So we're pushing for this. And then we hit approach shots, and I don't think any of us saw the approach shots. Grant's and mine, we heard what sounded like green, though. So we're like, great. The other 2 shots, no clue whatsoever. So we're looking all around the green. We're looking behind it. We're looking right. We're looking left. We're looking short because we have no clue. And just as we're about to give up, they find both of their balls sitting next to each other, like
Wow.
30 yards short left of the green.
Wow.
So he's like, oh, I found one. Oh, here's the other one.
Wow.
So it is pitch black. I'm just off the green. Grant's like 30 feet behind the pin on the green. And they chip up, but like both hit pretty bad pitches. So Grant has like 3 putts to get in. We've got 5 flashlights out there lighting the green.
Wow.
And Grant hit a putt to 3 inches from 30 feet in pitch black. It was great. We won the hole in the
awesome.
dark.
That's awesome. Of the 27 holes you played that day, about how many were played actually in the rain?
25 probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it was wet the whole day.
Is that accurate, Grant?
Yeah, there was some level of rain coming down all day, pretty much.
Okay. So 27 holes, you're tied for your flight lead. So it turns out you are mutters, after all.
We're mutters, Brian. That's what I've been telling people. I'm a mutter, so I had to live up to it, and lucked into a tie for the lead.
How did it feel sleeping on the lead that night?
Grant, how did it feel sleeping on the lead?
It felt good. I mean, the first day I felt like was the last match didn't go exactly how we wanted, but I felt like it was a success overall.
Nice.
I played quite well, better than I ever have. And
Grant, what did you shoot? Tell the audience. You've never broken 100. Mm-hmm. The combined score of the first 2 rounds. What did you shoot?
Well, the first one I shot a 41.
Wow.
And the first
41.
9,
Wow.
and the second 9 I shot a 44. So I shot an 85 on the first 18 of Friday.
Wow.
And I was feeling nice.
Yeah. I would
And,
imagine so.
yeah,
You've
it was all not all thanks. I was, I had worked on a lot of other stuff too with like short game and stuff, but I was mostly in thanks to me putting my driver away, I'd say.
Wow.
When I said he lost 30 shots off the tee in his practice round, I wasn't fully exaggerating. That's pretty much true. When he put the ball in play almost every hole, he shot 85.
Wow.
So he'd never broken 100, and then he shot 85. It was Parker-esque is what I call it.
Yeah. Parker had never broken 100, and then my son, and then he shot 87 or 89. I always forget, but so for him to do this in a member guess, I have to ask: could you feel any bit of side eye from any other people in your flight, any other members? It was raining, so maybe there wasn't a lot of hangout time, but and there might even be people listening to this now who don't know us very well that are like slamming their fist on the table and being like, "Oh, of course, the guy who never breaks 100 shoots 85 in the member guest." Did you feel any of that?
Only lightly, like jokingly. Like I think there were some jokes about it, but I think everyone could just tell, the way he was doing this was partly playing out of his mind. So it was all this improvement, but he was hitting outrageous recovery shots. He'd top one, or he'd, pull or slice one off the planet, and then he'd hit an unbelievable recovery shot. There was one point, like, he hit one way right on 13, and then just kind of tried to hit like a flop shot thing that just, I don't know if it was a flop shot exactly. He knocked it to a gimme range from an impossible spot. They just gave him the 3 for 2. It was just like all these shots, and I think people could just tell he's just unconscious right now. So there were jokes about it, but I don't think anyone was upset.
Yeah. Grant, would you say you felt similarly?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was, putting my driver away, and I was just hitting everything well. It felt automatic. It was like I couldn't hit a bad shot if I tried all day. And it was like, I had never experienced this. I'd hit an occasional good shot.
Yeah.
But it was 27 holes and then the last 9 I shot a 48, I believe, of that of Friday. So I was feeling, I pretty much played. I just had a great day overall, and it was unreal. I'm not gonna lie.
At one point, he's like, I kind of like playing in the rain. And I said, no, I think you're just experiencing the first golf high of your life. So whatever's going on when that happens, you just kind of like it. You're like, oh, yeah, I like rain. I'm never not playing in the rain again. Right. I think that's all that's going on, is you're just associating this joy from golf with rain.
Yeah, we kind of knew this had the potential to happen just because, Grant, you've played a lot of your golf in Florida. A lot of times maybe you've got woods right or left to deal with, or water right or left to deal with. And Honeybrook does let you get away with some wayward shots sometimes. And it sounds like you were taking full advantage of that. So let's go to Saturday morning or afternoon, whenever round 4 was. Was this the round that you played against par, or was that your final one?
The final one was against par.
All right.
The first match was against Jane Riley and her partner Ann. And they were lovely to play with.
Phillips.
Yep, Ann Phillips. I don't know why we said it that way.
You said Jane Riley and then said Ann, so I don't know. It's Ann Phillips.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, and out of a possible 10 points, how many points did we win in this match?
We won 7 in this match.
Ooh, okay.
And we lost the last 2. To get 7, so we should have 7.5.
Wow.
But Grant, once again, I think this was the one where it was truly. So I think they very kindly had the most questions of Grant, because Grant, what did you actually shoot in this round?
I believe I shot a 45.
So it wasn't his best round, but he had some moments in this round that were just kind of nuts. Like he hit a couple putts to win holes from long distance early on, and then on 7 he pulled one way, way left, like as far left as I've ever seen anyone on that hole. It was on the cart. It was like left of the cart path coming up towards 8.
Gotcha. So
it almost into those weeds. So way, way over there.
Hard to find it over there.
And we just got lucky that it was there. And so they were kind of joking, like, there it is. There's the 27. And then from there, he hit a wedge back over the trees to 12 feet and just drains the birdie putt. And so then...
If this hole wasn't the most, like nothing can go wrong for me hole of the whole round, on that putt, I completely misread the putt. I thought it was like 12 feet. I thought it was going left the whole way. And when I hit the putt, I was like, I missed it under the hole. It was pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
And like 3/4 of the way there, it just starts going right. And I'm like, and then it just falls in the heart of the cup. And I was like, okay.
And then if you don't think things can, this is how things were going for Grant. That happens. Then the next hole, so he loses his ball off the tee. So he goes to the drop zone, and I'm like, all right, just hit a good one, recovery kind of thing. He blades one 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's just flying at 4 feet off the ground. It's just going to go way over the green into the crap again. He's going to be out of the hole. Yeah. It smacks the pin dead square 4 feet off the ground and drops straight down to 5 feet.
Oh my.
And Jane and Ann are like, there it is. Grant can't do anything wrong. That is how Grant's day was going. Even when he blades one.
Day, let me tell you.
Wow.
Great day. So yeah, I mean that's how Grant's day was going, and we got 7 points.
Did you?
We
lose
lost that
hole?
hole. We actually lost that hole and the 9th hole to not get the 7.5 points needed for the 7.5 pool. If you get 7.5 points in a match, you get a payout for that. So we missed that one. So that was a little annoying, but what was more annoying, I guess, is that we thought, tied, getting a 7, that's a pretty good score. The people who we were tied with, they got 6.5, so we're going in to face par, which most people have not done very well against in this tournament, and we're only a half point ahead.
Okay.
And the thing about this final match was that in your flight, if you won all 5 of your matches, regardless of how many points you had, you automatically won your flight. And the guys we were competing with for the lead had won all 4 matches so far. So going into the last one, it was like, we just need them to lose, or we have to play for a lot of points, try to get as many as we can, like every match, and we have to, sneak into that wild card spot.
So is that that's a new rule? If you win every match, even if you're not the top point getter,
I think that's been a rule actually. I think last year, at least when I played it last year, if you go 5-0, you win the flight regardless.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
You beat everyone else.
Yeah.
So we just needed them to not get 5. If they got even 5.5 points, we were going to lose the flight.
Wow. But there is one wild card team that would get into the shootout.
Yes, and we knew we were close to the top of we were definitely in contention for that.
Yep. So you're out there, you're obviously playing with another twosome who was also playing against par in their flight, right?
We actually were out with spotters.
Oh, you were spotters. Okay.
So it was actually Sam and a guy named Cody, who is a member at the club. And so they were just out playing with us so they had spotters with every team against par just to keep everything honest. And how did it go? We got 7.5 against par. We were the only team to 7.5 par the whole week. And so we were playing great. I don't think we lost a single hole to par, so we didn't make a bogey. And we got to 7.5 because on 16 at Honeybrook, so Grant hit a great drive down near the bunker, then dead chunks one, like 4 feet. Mm-hmm. Then he blades it over the green, like down by the cart path. I knock my approach to like 5 feet maybe for birdie.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, don't worry about it. I got us this hole. So
Almost told me to pick my ball up.
Like truly, I'm like, just stop playing. We're good. Yeah. And so I then proceed to miss my 5-foot birdie putt, tap in for our par. I'm kind of forgetting, and Grant's like, I'm gonna go chip this one. If I chip it in, it's still a 4 for 3, and I'm almost like, just like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And but he's like, no, I'm gonna chip it. I'm like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Grant, after he went chunk, blade, then he jarred it for the 4 for 3.
What?
We have video of this. He pitches it up from just short of the cart path. It starts running away, and it was going pretty fast because he was trying to make it.
It was moving.
Yeah.
Hits the center of the stick and just drops in for 4 for 3.
Oh
and
my gosh!
Without that, we don't get the 7.5. So that was a lucrative chip. Is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. It was a lucrative chip. It was insane.
That was a true Goldilocks moment with the chunk followed by the blade followed by the just right.
That's right.
Into the heart.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. So we get up there. So the guys in front of us. So the guys we're competing with were playing in front of us, and so we're trying to read body language the whole time, and we're realizing they're not teeing off first very often, and that's a really, really good sign. Obviously, turns out they lost their match 8-2.
Whoa!
Enough so all the way back. So our first match was against Mark Milichik and John Kim. And JK all day. And they had a massive comeback. So they lost their first 2 matches, I believe. And then they got like 7 in their third match. Then they got 7.5 in their first match of the second day. Then 8-2, and they became. Oh, is that what it is? 8.5 in their first match.
Fit it in there. They went 8.5, 8 on Saturday.
8.5, 8, and they were the wild card team in the end. So they jumped the other team and actually jumped into the playoff with us. So we won the flight, and then another team from our flight with just a massive comeback. They got into the playoff as well.
Wow! So you make the shootout. You made the shootout.
Made the shootout. Now, Brian has a history with the shootout, so I didn't tell Grant about your history with the shootout. I didn't even tell him about the whole chip-off reality. But if we had a chip-off on the first hole, I would have been like, Grant, if you look at this chip.
I do think that they changed the rule the year after I did it. If you're not a long-time listener, the nutshell story is that, I made the shootout in 2017 with Tyler, and we were in a chip-off. I think maybe 2 teams or 4 teams for 2 spots. You're not allowed to watch your opponents or your partner. And I did a good job not watching my opponent, but when it was Tyler's turn to chip, I stood behind him like an umpire, eyeing up the strike zone. I just watched the entire way, and then I chipped. We both hit 2 of the best chips, and then we're disqualified because I was watching him completely had a brain fart. It was awful. I didn't eat for 2 days. I was so distraught by it. And really, it was a terrible rule. I don't understand why you shouldn't be allowed to watch your partner. Any other member guest that I've been to, you're allowed to watch your partner. You do stuff together with them all week, so it just seems kind of crazy. Anyway, yeah, that happened, and I would not wish that upon anyone. So you guys made it in 5 flight winners plus a wild card, so 6 teams.
Yep.
At what point, was it before the tournament or during, had you guys talked about who was going to tee off? Because it's an alternate shot format during the shootout. When did you guys actually talk about that? Did you have a discussion, or did Adam, you just lay down the law and say, I'm the big brother, this is what's happening?
It was a discussion, but I had a pretty strong opinion about what was going to happen. So we talked about
it.
It
was a discussion where he told me what would happen.
He is the slightly lower handicap, so that's probably
Barely.
a good idea. Barely.
I don't know. Yeah, barely. Yeah.
And actually, before we get to that, Adam, I do want to ask you this. We've talked a lot about how Grant's played over these 5 matches and playing over his head and even recovering really well. How did you play during these 5 matches? Was it the great golf that you've been playing the last few weeks?
I played well. I did not putt very well. So okay. I had just what felt like a million tap-in pars. Grant and I were trying to go over it. In 45 holes, I believe I made par or better 35 times. Okay. So, but I only made 2 birdies in 45 holes.
Wow.
So I birdied 4 twice, I believe. So it was like 2 birdies in 45 holes, and then so many pars because I was hitting the ball well. Tee to green, I was playing pretty well, and so I had like 2 doubles or worse, probably 8 bogeys, and then 35 par or better. So that's good in this format. It worked well,
Yeah.
It was sort of like setting a baseline for Grant. If Grant did well, we were going to win the hole. If Grant didn't do well, we were going to tie the hole, it felt like, because I was in for par so often.
Would you say that the sort of, I wouldn't call them putting woes, but the little downtrend in putting, did that continue through the member guest? Did it feel like that?
A little bit. I felt weird over shorter putts, and I missed a good number in the 5 to 10 foot range that I feel like I would normally make. So like I probably shot, I think I shot 75 on the first 18. And then I shot like 74 on the second day. So like I wasn't playing bad, but it could have been better, and I wasn't making birdie putts. So I was just kind of all around the hole, hitting great drives, good approaches on so many greens in regulation, and just not making those birdie putts. So a little frustrated in that regard, but I felt good about my game at the same time.
Certainly not what you were thinking about as you guys headed to the shootout. Adam, I'm sure you decided you wanted to hit that drive on the first hole. Grant, have you ever been a part of a member guest or seen sort of that scene where you've got 12 guys on the tee box and the carts lining up behind the first green? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Adam had told me he was, leading the days leading up to the tournament. He was like, it's such a cool atmosphere because if you make it to the playoff, like that's really your goal. Like if you win it or you get second or third or whatever, that's cool, but your real goal is just make it to the playoff because it's such a fun atmosphere to be there. And he was telling me, like, everyone who's playing in the tournament, whether they did well or not, they're going to be in their carts and they're going to surround the green and be up and down the cart path. And I was like, the whole time I was like, that sounds so cool. I just want to be there for that, playing in it. I don't want to be one of the people around the green,
Yeah.
So he was... he explained it pretty well, but nothing really gets you into that moment quite like being there. It was really cool.
So how did that first tee shot go, Adam, in the shootout?
It was like my best drive of the week, and I had hit a lot of good drives.
Oh.
It was like I had some adrenaline pumping, and I believe I was like 70 yards past anybody else. I was at the cart signs on one, and it felt good. It felt like a moment for me.
That's pretty great. I've only made the shootout twice with Tyler, 2017 and 2019, and Tyler hit the opening tee shot in 2017, but I hit it in 2019, and mine was nowhere near the cart path, but it was the longest and in the fairway of all of them. So I can sort of relate to that. It's
a good feeling.
Pretty amazing feeling. So Grant, now you're stepping up. Everybody has already hit their approach shots at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing there maybe have been a couple on the green and a few that missed. Maybe even some teams in trouble. How much pressure? How are you feeling in that moment?
I felt pretty good overall. I wasn't, it was a little jittery, a couple little butterflies in your stomach going up to that first hole. But what I kept telling Adam in the golf cart, and he remembers, is the moments you remember in life come right after the butterflies. You know? That's
Sounds
true.
like, did you get that from Hobby Lobby?
That's a Hobby Lobby.
And it took a little pressure off of us that before Adam hit his amazing drive, 2 people had gone in the water left.
Okay.
So then Adam steps up and he
Yep.
just mashes one center cut, and like he said, way past anyone else. And we were like, okay, it took a lot of pressure off me on my, like 50-yard chip up to the green. Like, we don't have to do anything special here. Let's just knock it up there and 2-putt and get out of here and move on to the next one. So
Did you do something special there?
I did, yeah. So I step up there, and like you said, I was feeling pretty good. I wasn't feeling too nervous, but I step up and everyone gets quiet, and then you're like, oh, why is everyone so quiet? But it makes sense, but it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch this one clean, I'd say. I caught a lot of ground. I caught it pretty chunky.
Yeah.
It was a 55-yard chip, and it probably went 30 yards.
Okay.
So it was a chunk. It was a straight chunk. It almost kind of rolled towards the fringe, but it wasn't quite there. It wasn't my best effort. I wasn't super proud of it.
Yeah.
But I also knew, like, all right, let's get that one out of the way now. This is the time to have that chunk if
Sure.
we're going to have it. I was like, okay, it didn't feel good, but it is it is.
What was the pin location there? Front, middle, or back?
Front left. So it
Front
was
left,
like
okay.
it was like 10 yards short of the green probably when after the chunk.
All right. And you said 2 groups had gone into the water
Yeah.
with their tee shot. Travis and Taylor Good, they made the shootout.
They did.
That's correct. Who hit the tee shot for them? I'm curious. On one, do you remember?
Travis hit the
Travis
tee shot.
Okay.
Yep.
And I only asked that
He
because
had a really good one.
did he? In 2019, Taylor, they both made it, and Taylor hit the tee shot, and Taylor's a lefty, as you know, and he pulled that tee shot into the right pond, which
As
is
a
almost
lefty.
as a lefty, which is almost impossible to do. I mean, it was like I don't know if it hit the heel or the toe, but it like shot like 45 degrees right as a lefty. I'm sure he's got some PTSD about it.
Wow.
But yeah,
So Travis was hitting that tee shot. Is what you're telling me.
that's why
Gotcha.
I'm not surprised that Travis hit it. All right, Adam. So you step up. You guys are laying 2. You just gonna hit a little bump and run here? What are you doing? How do you pull it off?
Yeah, I took a 56-degree wedge and I just kind of bumped it up. Nothing really to tell about this shot. I hit it to about 4.5 feet.
Okay.
So it was solid, not amazing, but came up a little shorter than I wanted it to. But 4.5 feet up the hill for par.
Okay. And Grant, did you make the putt?
Brian, I synced that putt.
Yes. Well done.
I stepped over it, and I was feeling good. I was feeling good walking away from that putt. Getting that one to go down after the chunk really helped me.
Did you guys have any idea if like you needed that putt to avoid a chip off, or could you have gotten away with a 2-putt there maybe?
We were talking about this afterwards. We're not sure. There may have been a chip off if he had missed that putt. So it definitely was definitely good to see it go down.
Yeah. And I don't know if this has changed for Honeybrook. I know at other member guests, they're out there with a ruler, and anything 18 inches or less is conceded. They don't do that at Honeybrook, do they?
No, everything had to be holed out.
Yeah. I kind of like the 18 inches or less thing. I feel like, I don't know, who wants to see somebody grind over like a 1.5 putt?
Me,
If you make a 1.5 putt, then you don't deserve to win. Shouldn't be in the playoff in the first place.
I would bet my mortgage on you not missing an 18-inch putt.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 teams eliminated. You guys get to the second hole. One of 4 teams left. If you can get past this hole, you're going to be in the money, which is a great thing. And Grant, you are on the tee. I'm assuming you did not pull the driver out of the bag for this one.
No, I pulled hybrid. Let me tell you, with a lot of, I pulled it very quickly, no question there. And this was definitely, me and Adam had talked about this the night before on the drive home after our first 3 matches Friday. Adam was like, "Oh, one thing we should talk about is that if we make it to the playoff, this is what we should probably do." And it left me with, almost every hole. It was like if Adam hit a good drive, it would leave me with an easy chip, and then if we got to the third hole, Adam would be hitting into a par 3, which would leave me most likely putting or with an easy chip or whatever. But the only shot where it was like Grant has to hit a good one is the tee shot on 2. And I stepped up there, and my last few tee shots of our last match, I hit really well. And I felt like I had not figured something out, but I was like, figured something out to not slice it off the planet. So I wasn't too worried about water here. I was pretty confident standing over this shot, honestly. And
I was so nervous. I was so nervous because he had hit that club pretty well all day, but most of them had been kind of high right. And my real worry was that even in all these good shots, so I feel bad because I feel like a lot of the shots I've mentioned of yours have been your few bad ones, but you had topped like 3 that day.
Okay.
So I was just sort of like,
and
with all the nerves. Friday. No, not at all Friday. And then, but he had topped like 3, but then the rest were pretty good. And I'm just like, okay, with all these nerves, all these people watching, it felt like there's obviously a chance he tops this one, because if that's in there, it's going to come out now.
Did you say anything to him as he was going up?
Did I say anything to you?
No.
I think you may have said something, after we had decided who would be hitting what. You may have said something then, but I think once we got to the hole, it was like we all know what's happening here, what the possible outcomes are. And so I got up there, and I feel like I'm not a slow golfer, but I take my time. And I felt like I stood over that shot forever. I'm not gonna lie. That's the only thing I remember from that shot. Is I feel like other people were thinking, Grant, hit the ball. But I was making sure I felt good. You know, I wasn't gonna just let one go when I wasn't ready, because I felt the pressure of everyone else. And I got up there, and Brian, I striped this puppy. This was my best tee shot
of the whole week.
The whole week, I think.
Whole week.
Wow.
Literally 2-yard draw, like 245, hit, like left me with like 125 into the green. It was perfect.
Wow, that's awesome. Did any of the other 3 groups go into the water there on 2?
No, everybody was in play. Everybody was in play.
All right.
I hit my wedge from there. The pin was tucked kind of back left, just over that ridge.
Yep.
I landed it on that ridge, and it was 1 foot from being perfect. If it had gone that foot further and been over, it would have trickled down to the hole. But it kind of spun back, and it left Grant with it. So everybody hit the green.
Oh, wow.
We had by far the hardest putt, though, because it was not the longest, actually, but that whole ridge to the left, you had to go up and over it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I left Grant with, unfortunately.
Wow. How long of a putt?
35 feet, probably.
Okay. And what kind of putt did you hit there, Grant?
The one thing Adam told me before this putt was, make sure you get this over the ridge. Do not leave this short of the ridge. That would be really bad.
Okay.
And when I hit it, I got a little scared, because I hit it and it was a little bumpy, and I was like, I think that might be short of the ridge. So it scared me, but it barely cleared.
Okay.
And it missed way low, but it was a fine putt and left you with like 6 feet.
Yeah, I think it was like a 6-footer for par.
Okay. So 30-footer to 6 feet. So obviously not as
Could have
close
been
as
a lot worse.
yeah, not as close as you wanted, but could have been a lot worse.
Yep. And I'd missed some of these 5 to 10 footers, as I said, but I got up and I poured that baby in the heart, because that's what you do when it matters, Brian. That's what you do when it matters. You pour it in the heart. And then unfortunately didn't. So it looked like there was going to be a chip off, but one other competitor missed a similar length, but a little shorter than ours even. So there was no chip off, and we were through the second hole.
Okay.
You know who else was clutch on that green? We talk about him a lot. One of my favorite golfers at Honeybrook Golf Club. That's John Kim. That's JK all day. Poured one in from about 25 feet for the birdie to send him to the top 3.
Wow.
That's my boy JK all day.
Okay, so all right, so one team gets eliminated there, and now you're headed to the third hole. You're in the money. You're one of 3 teams left. Adam is hitting the tee shot on this par 3. What was it playing?
I was playing 171 into the wind.
Okay.
And we found out that we were getting a stroke on this hole. So two of the 3 teams were getting a stroke on this hole.
Oh, wow.
So Dan Perry's team, who was in the shootout, they were not getting a stroke. So he hit one to like 18 feet maybe. And then I get up, and, you've seen me hit a lot of shots on the third hole at Honeybrook. And I've pulled a lot of them left. I'd say a lot of them left. I've even shanked a couple across that road. That's happened before. You've seen that.
Yep.
And I stepped up, and I felt good. And I just hit a towering cut into the wind. It landed exactly pin high, 12 feet left of the hole. And that felt so good, Brian. That felt like, maybe, considering the circumstances, it felt like one of the best golf shots I'd ever hit. It was just exactly what I was trying to do. It was exactly what I envisioned in my head, and that was deeply satisfying.
That's fantastic. So 2 of the 3 groups on the green. Did the third group find the green as well?
John Kim and Mark Millichip missed long left.
Okay.
But then John Kim, JK all day, that guy hit a beautiful chip all the way down, because the pin was in the front, rolling down the hill to 1.5 feet, 2 feet.
Wow.
And then got in for the 3. And that meant, so Grant was hitting the 12-foot putt, big swinger, left to right. Just hit a gorgeous putt, Grant. Grant just hit a gorgeous putt. It just stopped on the edge. Perfect speed. Almost broke into the hole. Stopped, but a true tap-in. I didn't even have to think about the putt at all. It was genuinely a tap-in. That meant Dan Perry needed to make his 18-footer, or his partner had to make his 18-footer, or else it was Mark Millichip's team and our team advancing to the final hole, and that putt came up just short, and we were in the final 2.
Okay. Just a note of clarification. Did Grant hit the 12-footer before Dan Perry's partner hit the 18-footer, or do you have your distances slightly? Why did the 12-footer get hit before the 18-footer? Wouldn't the longer putt? I'm just thinking what some of the listeners may be curious about.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think their putt was shorter than 18 feet.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I think it was barely, though. It was maybe I don't know,
maybe
11
10 feet. Sure.
But it was a much, much more difficult putt. It was like a slider downhill type thing. And like Adam said earlier, his shot left me with a pin high, little bit left to right, very basic, golf putt. And theirs was not.
And I only asked because I was thinking, like, well, if Dan's partner missed, then you guys might only need like 2 putts from 12 feet. So
Fair enough.
But it makes
Yeah, no,
makes
that
more sense. Yeah.
I had 18 feet in my head, but that doesn't make any sense at all. Now that you point that out.
It's okay. There was a lot going on. So this is the furthest that Tyler and I ever got when we we were DQ'd in 2017. Then in 2019, after I hit a great tee shot on 1, I also had to hit the tee shot on 3. I had a 6-iron and I hit it a little bit fat, left it like 15 feet short of the green, and then Tyler laid the sod over his chip, and then I had to chip, and then I hit it a little bit too far, and that was the end of it for us. We made it in the money, but never made it past third place. But you guys, you get to the fourth hole, one of 2 teams left. Are both teams getting a stroke on this hole?
Yes, both were getting a stroke, so essentially
neither.
no strokes.
Yep.
And what was amazing was it was Mark Milichip and John Kim.
Yeah.
So our first hole and our last hole were with Mark Milichip and John Kim. JK,
Okay.
all tournament.
Wouldn't want it any other way, baby.
And this is an even hole, so Grant, you've got to hit the tee shot on this par 5.
Yep. And I believe they had honors on this hole, and this was one of the very few times you wouldn't say JK all day. He stepped up, and he actually, to take some pressure off of my shot, he pulled his left into like the fescue,
Tall grass area.
and into the tall grass on the left, and it was out. So they hit a provisional. And
But they hit a provisional
Sorry.
because there's a chance that you're going to be able to find that and play that, right? It's not like, oh crap,
Right.
I'm dead.
Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't know for sure that we had an advantage yet.
Yeah.
But we knew they were not in great shape, or they were hitting 3 off the tee. So that's what we knew at that point.
All right, so Grant, that maybe takes a little bit of the edge off. You step up with that trusty hybrid again.
Yep, I do. Aiming a little bit more left to play my fade, just to take any chance of me having a off the earth slice out of play. And I stepped over this, and I didn't hit it real clean. It was kind of like a flary hybrid that ended up putting Adam in a kind of tough spot, almost up against a lip in a fairway bunker.
Okay.
Not my
Yep.
best work.
All right.
But then the biggest thing in the next few minutes was that they did not find their golf ball. So they hit a good second drive, but they were 3 off the tee. So now we had an advantage. But I was up against this lip in a bunker. So I knew that if I hit it clean, it was going to be fine. But it was like I could definitely picture the shot where I hit it a tiny bit thick and I'm in another bunker, because it was like the first bunker. It was the first or second bunker in that row of bunkers. So I knew I could make a mess of it, and I didn't want to put Grant in that situation. So I just hit a 9-iron, and I hit it a little left, but I hit it clean and got it off almost onto 2. So well left, but advanced it quite a way. So we were like 200 yards from the hole, in an open area.
Yep. All right, so Grant, you've got 200 or so in, and what kind of approach shot do you hit there?
Yeah, so I had 205 in, and I grabbed a 5-iron, and it was out of bounds. Not a lot of room right. It's out of bounds right. So I was just doing everything in my power to, advance this ball, but not hit it right. And I hit like a kind of slightly thick little like hook that knocked it down to like 60 yards or something, or however long it was.
Okay.
Which I was happy with, considering we had the advantage already. And I was like, yeah, I got this, 3/4 of the way there, and we're in play, and it left Adam in a pretty good spot to have a normal chip up to the green. So nothing special, but I did my job.
So you guys are laying 3 about 60 yards short of the green. They were laying 3 off the tee. Did they hit their 5th shot before you guys even hit your 4th?
they hit their fifth shot from about 100 yards away and pulled it into the left bunker. So I knew pretty obviously, if I get this on the green, we've probably won the member guest.
Yeah.
And I told Grant I'm aiming way right. I'm going for the middle of the green. I pulled it a touch actually, and it trickled up to like 6 feet, maybe. So from 60 yards. So it was a little
great shot from Adam.
It was a little bit better of a shot than I intended it to be. I was aiming 25 feet right, knowing that as long as I kept us out of trouble, didn't make Grant hit a bunker shot here under pressure, that we were good. And it turned out better than I even expected.
So
they go ahead.
Yeah. So you guys walk up to put a coin on this one, and what happens next?
So they knock it out of the bunker. Chris, who's, he's telling the crowd what's happening, all this stuff. He announces sort of, we're lying 4, they're lying 6. And Mark Millichip says, they're lying 4, we're lying 6. And Chris confirms, and Mark Millichip holds out his hand and starts slowly walking towards me. So they conceded the hole and the member guest to us. It was a little anticlimactic, the whole thing, because there was so little drama on the final hole.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. We won the member guest. Grant and I did. This trophy peeking out, there's a trophy right there. See, there it is. That's the member guest trophy.
I should have grabbed my trophy.
That's
Grant's,
right. And
Grant's is in the dishwasher right now.
Our scorecard as well. It's interesting. I did want to note this. Much like LeBron James, I have a basketball trophy, right?
I see that.
So LeBron James has a basketball trophy. This is from when I won the boys' 8 and 9-year-old first place in the free throw contest at 8 and 9 years old in Franklin, New Hampshire. So there's a basketball trophy, much like LeBron James. But you know what LeBron James doesn't have, and this is interesting, a golf trophy.
Wow.
So it seems like it's 2-1 Adam in the old LeBron James versus Adam discussion, because I've got a basketball trophy and a golf
trophy laying around somewhere.
Oh, I've got a baseball trophy, so that's 3-1, I guess. Yeah. Now that you put it that way.
This is indisputable evidence. If you want to see these trophies that Adam is referring to, you can only see that on our YouTube channel. So go check out the video of this episode and make sure you subscribe for that, guys. Congratulations, you won the 2023 Honeybrook member guest. Grant, it would probably have just been a thrill for you to participate in this thing, but you won. How did it feel? How does it feel?
It was pretty incredible. The whole week could not have gone any better. It was, like I said, I was so excited to be there, just to be in this. It was going to be fun. I've never competed in anything with Adam. We've never been teammates in anything, as much as sports have been a part of both of our lives. We've never competed in anything together. So I was like, this is going to be awesome. Go visit for a week, play in this. Knowing, obviously, if me being a high handicap, if I play really well, Adam's great and he can do his thing. Of course, we have a chance, but you never think you're actually going to win. And we go out and we actually did. It was pretty awesome. It was a week I'll never forget.
Yeah, man, that is so cool. Adam, how does it feel here a couple days after?
It felt better than I thought it would feel. That's what I'll say about it. It's like, I knew it would be cool to win the member guest. And I definitely, being a member at Honeybrook, it was something that I always wanted to do. But at the same time, doing it with Grant, it was just something totally different. And it was just kind of wild. So it was weird because I shook hands and was congratulated by every member of Honeybrook. It felt like it was like everyone was so nice about this, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like I know everyone takes it seriously, but it's like, I just feel like, once it's over, it's going to be fairly passive. Everyone was so warm and so kind and so nice about this, and everyone was just telling us how happy they were for us, how proud they were. It's like, it was just incredible. It was just, it bonded me to Honeybrook even more than I already am. It was just such a fun experience. Truly, truly one of the best weekends of my life.
It's great. I'm happy for you, but the dark lining of this beautiful puffy cloud is that I didn't get a chance to be there. So that's the only thing that sucks. I wish I would have been there. I wish I would have been there to try to stop this from happening, though it sounds like I probably wouldn't have been able to. But man, so exciting. It's great. You earned a second ticket into the Tournament of Champions. Do you get to sell that on eBay? How does that work?
Can I donate it to you, and we'll both be in the Tournament of Champions?
I don't want your donations. I want to try to earn my way in on my own.
In the member. I'll earn my third one in the member. You can earn your first. It'll be great.
There you go.
Can I be in the Tournament of Champions? I mean,
no,
I was
so.
Part of this.
No,
that's not fair. That's not fair.
I don't think you're eligible for the Tournament of Champions.
Listen, as a guest, for member guest, you are welcomed on the property for 3 days. But once that is over, you're out. You're done. You're just general public again.
Kicked to the curb.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else to say. Are you going to retire, Grant? Are you done playing golf now? How does this work?
Yeah, I mean, just might as well go out on the highest note I can go out on, right? I mean, that was great. I don't see any other reason to keep playing. It's all downhill from here, right? No, yeah, I'm very excited to keep playing more now, and already excited to come back next year to defend my title.
Okay. There you go.
We want two of these babies up here.
Yeah.
We want two of these next year.
It's official. I think on the bottom line on ESPN, they've already got the crawl going that it is official. Adam and Grant will attempt to defend their title at the 2024 member guest, for those who are
I did
sure
see
about
that on ESPN. I did see that.
Yeah.
We'll be there. Hopefully you'll be there. Unless your grandma has an early 91st birthday.
Oh, I will be there. I will be there. And just wait until you see who I bring with me. I have no idea.
Tyler? Would it be Tyler?
I have no idea. I have no idea who I'm bringing with me. Well, listen, I have a younger brother too, I am also, like Adam, the oldest of 5. And I have a younger brother who's 11 years younger than me. He does not play golf, so his handicap is infinity, but I've got a year maybe to get him to play golf.
Shape him into a 27.
All right, Grant, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Again, congratulations on the win. It sounds like you did most of the heavy lifting, so kudos to you. Couldn't have happened to a better set of brothers. So congratulations, guys.
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for those of you diehards who have listened this long, we are taking a vacation week next week, so there will be no Bag Chatter podcast next week. Just listen to this episode again. These guys were so great, so listen to it again, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
All right.